Hello, everybody, and welcome in live to another edition of the Bleeding Burnt Orange live postgame here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, the SG1 Texas Sports Channel, and Mark Rogers TV Big 12 channel. So go over, if you're on the Mark Rogers TV channel, go over to the SG1 Sports Channel, hit the like button, subscribe over there. Go over to the Big 12 channel, hit the like button, subscribe there. We're trying to grow brands here, guys. So please help us do that. If you like me, do it. If you don't like me, do it for Mark. If you don't like Mark, do it for SG1. It's hard to not like one of us. I don't see how that's possible. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It really helps out, guys. One more thing for you before we jump in here. Ticketsmarter.com. If you're going to go to a game, why not save money? And if you don't want to save the money, then at least put the money towards something else. You could take it in, put it right back in, or put it right back into the economy. Go and buy some beers, go and buy some concessions when you're at the game. Type in code BIG for $10 off a purchase of $100 or more, and then type in code BIG20 for $20 off a purchase of $300 more. That really helps out Mark, guys, so please go over there and do that if you're going to go to a game. And again, subscribe to the Big 12 channel and subscribe to the SEC channel here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. I know he's live as well right now. Excuse me if you guys can't notice. Maybe you can in the video, maybe you can't. I have a sty in my right eye, so if I look weird tonight, that is why. Texas wins 26-16, and luckily for us, I think it was probably the best called game of the year for Texas on both sides of the ball. I don't think it was the best played. I don't think it was the best executed, but I like what we came out and did on offense. I like what we came out and did on defense. PK showed me some things in that second half. He did some things that he normally doesn't do. He blitzed a little bit more. He was pretty aggressive all around. And maybe that was because of the score that dictated it, but I liked it. And I think you should keep that mindset, keep that presence about you in every type of game, players and coaching. If we can coach like that in this type of game throughout the rest of the season, we can beat anybody if we execute also. That's the last thing that's missing, guys. We got to execute at a higher level. That was not there tonight most of the time. Quinn Ewers, at times, very decisive, at other times, very indecisive. If Quinn was more decisive tonight, I think we'd have a lot more yards and a lot more points. Iowa State gives you 4 yards per play. They're going to give you 4 yards if you'll take it. He was not taking that early. He started to take it later. And then when he started to take it later, then the other stuff opened up because they creeped up. And that's the key to beating this Iowa State defense. If you consistently take 4 to 5 yard chunks, which they're willing to give you, or even 3 to 5 yard chunks, which they're willing to give you, they will creep up on you, and then you can hit them deep. And you started to see that more in the second half when we started to take those little chunks, and they crept up, and we hit them with great plays. That Jordan Whittington play, great play design, great execution on that play. Gunnar Helm play, great play design, great execution. And this is all without Xavier Worthy. Honestly, guys, I didn't even notice. I was like, okay, where's he at for a couple of these plays? But the other times I didn't notice because we were executing, or the play calling was so good. And at times we were executing at a very high level. Again, it's consistently executing plays that holds the teams back on both sides of the ball. That's really it. I like the play calling. Then when we did execute at certain points, it was really good. And with the talent we have, we win games pretty easily versus a team like Iowa State. Again, if we execute at a higher level, this game's probably about 40-16. We probably add on 2 more touchdowns. We just didn't do that. I see some crazy stuff. I'm not going to name the Alabama guy on Twitter, but I used to follow his channel. I no longer do that because he says some really dumb stuff, guys. We were up 6-3 at Iowa State. He's like, so 6-3, Alabama's got to be ranked ahead of this team. Okay, first off, did we beat you? Second off, it's 6-3. It's not the end of the game. We ended up beating a pretty decent team on the road by 10 points. I think it's a good win. I don't think there's anything that you can take away from Texas. There's no way Alabama jumps us up until this point. And guys, things are kind of starting to work in our favor. Again, we play Texas Tech next week. We should win that game. It would be a knife to the gut and twisting and turning if we lose to Texas Tech, because that's going to be losing to a average football team at home in our last Big 12 regular season game ever to go to the Big 12 championship game, because that's what's on the line. You're telling me you're going to lose that game? It's really hard for me to believe that. And with Florida State, obviously, I don't want this to happen. I like Jordan Travis a lot. I like that Florida State team a lot. So I don't want to see them to get hurt. I obviously want them to lose. I mean, there's a really good chance they lose to either Florida or Louisville. And guys, that would probably, if we went out, put us in, because you would get the SEC champ, the Big 12 champ, the Pac-12 champ, and then the Big 10 champ. Those would be the 4 teams at that point. So that's really the only loss we need because Oregon and Washington are going to play each other. Ohio State and Michigan are playing each other, and Alabama and Georgia are going to play each other. So all of that's going to take care of itself. So it really comes down to if Florida State can win out with what's going on there. The only other option is Oregon State beats Oregon and then they lose to Washington, or they beat Washington. I don't see that happening, seeing as it's on the road in Eugene, but we took care of business. It's the first 10 wins regular season at Texas since 2009 when we made the championship versus Alabama. So tonight's a night to celebrate, guys. If you got a cigar, you're a cigar smoker, light it up. If you're a drinker, pour yourself a glass of whiskey. If there's something else that tickles your fancy, go ahead and do it. I'm not going to name it here, and I'm not going to call you out, but you probably shouldn't do it if it's anything else. But you celebrate. However that is, celebrate, guys. It's a very great win. It's the first time Steve Sarkisian has ever won 10 games as a head coach. A lot of stuff happened tonight, and we should be proud of it as Texas fans. There's a good chance, guys, we win 11, 12 games, we don't make a college football playoff, and that's fine. It really is at this point. I'm cool with it. Win the Big 12. Win the Big 12. That's where I'm at this point. Last week, I told you guys at the TCU, I think it was the TCU game, it might have been 2 weeks ago, where I was in between on this team. I didn't know what to think because when you watch them, you say, damn, they have so much talent. They should be better than they are. Then you swing one way and say, well, yeah, they should be, but can't we just be happy because this team really hasn't won around here? And then you get caught in between that. And I'm just fully on this side now. I'm fully on the side of win the Big 12 championship. We do that. I really don't give a shit what else happens. We as a fan base should not be at the point yet to where we should be saying, damn, we need to be competing for national championships. That'd be skipping a step. That would not be fair to this program. It wouldn't be fair to Steve Sarkisian. And it'd be a disservice, honestly, to this fan base. We're not there yet, guys. We're just not. And that's fine. And I've come to terms with that. We don't make the college football playoff. We don't win a college football playoff game. I don't care. I really don't. It's going to be icing on the cake. Can you get me the cake? That's what I want at this point. And that's what I wanted at the beginning of the season. So I'm just asking what I wanted at the beginning of the season because my eyes have told me my one bad eye at this point, that win the Big 12 championship. That's all that matters. That's all I care about. Win next week versus Texas Tech, and then win whoever you're going to play in the Big 12 championship game. That's going to be interesting. I don't know who it's going to be. Kansas lost today. By the way, I was still right on Kansas. I know Kansas is going to end up 8-4. I had them 9-3, and with tiebreakers in the Big 12 championship game. If Jason Bean, even their backup, if Jason Bean is healthy, they beat Texas Tech last week, and they beat Kansas State today. I fully believe that, and that team's probably in the Big 12 championship game. It sucks that he's not. It sucks that they're playing a third-string quarterback that came from a super low level of high school football. They're still going to probably go 8-4. They played Cincinnati last week, so I'm not going to say I was right on them 100%, but I was definitely, if Jason Bean, their backup, is healthy, I'm definitely right on them. If Jalen Daniels healthy, we're talking about a team, they could be 11-1. That's how good that team is. But I digress. Let's jump into these comments real quick, as this is a Texas channel. Jackson, thank you so much. You can also watch the Texas postgame show on Big 12. Yep. And then if you'd like to hear more, yes, I did tweet out quite a bit tonight, Jackson. So there's my link to Twitter. Go over there and follow. I keep it pretty real over there. I don't think I'm too crazy about it. Jackson, if you guys win the Texas State game in the Big 12, you guys are getting the playoffs. I hope so. I don't think that's a guarantee, guys. I don't. It's not at this point. It really isn't. We could win out. Florida State gets in if they win out. Washington gets in if they win out. And I think even Oregon, if they beat Washington, they're in over us. And then you have Ohio State, Michigan winner, and Georgia wins. I'm trying to think of a scenario. And then, so Florida State, Pac-12, Big 10, Georgia. I guess if Georgia, I just think Alabama's going to be put in if they beat Georgia. That's where I'm at. And I'm cool with that. I really am. Like I said, guys, control what you can control. We can control playing Texas Tech and winning that game next week. That's what we can control. That's all I care about. Win that game next week. Win whoever. I don't know who it's going to be. Is it going to be Oklahoma? Is it going to be Oklahoma State? Is it going to be Kansas State? Is it going to be, I'm trying to think who else it could be. I don't think it'd be, I think those are the three teams competing. Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Kansas State. Guys, I will tell you right now, I do not want to play Kansas State again. Don't want to do it. If you told me right now how to rank these teams, who I'd rather play, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Kansas State. And you might be able to convince me Oklahoma would be number one on who I think we could beat easier in the Big 12 championship game. Kansas State, I don't want to play again. I know we beat him all the time, but I don't want to play Chris Kleiman again. I just don't want to do it. I think he's the best coach out of those three, even though I think it is close between him and Gundy. And they're more talented than Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State's a one-trick pony. I think if we can shut down Ollie Gordon, we can probably beat Oklahoma State pretty easily. Oklahoma, there will be that revenge factor, so that you have to factor that in as well. Kansas State, I just want to avoid them. Don't want to play them again. It's going to be interesting, though. It'll be very, very interesting how that all settles down over in the Big 12 race. But overall, Texas beats Iowa State 26-16. Some good that I saw in this game. Let's get to that. So some good that I saw in this game for Texas. I thought Quinn Ewers, once he settled in, was pretty good. He was on his first drive, very quick with the football, knew where to go with it. Then after that, you saw the next 2 or 3 drives, he really struggled on where to go with the football on time, and he was getting sacked with 3-man rushes, and that's not acceptable because, one, they weren't getting home quickly. That was like 5 or 6 seconds he had, and he decided, I'm going to take the sack. In that scenario, you have enough time to be able to go 1, 2, 3, get rid of the ball, and he just didn't do that twice, so I had an issue with that, but overall, a good game for Quinn. Play calling, very well done. I like to play to Gunnar Helm, where he kind of stutters like he's going to block and then goes. I like to play to Jordan Whittington, same thing. Stutters like he's going to block, then goes. There are a couple other plays in there that I liked with the Jordan Whittington end around for the 2-point conversion, or not really end around, but like a direct snap where he comes around the end. So I guess it is like a direct snapped end around play. I really like that. There was a couple other plays that I can't think of right now, but I did like in this game. So overall, great job on the offensive side of the ball calling plays and on the defensive side of the ball. I like at the end of the game, we stayed aggressive. We brought some pressure. We didn't sit back and allowed them to dictate what was going to happen. I really like that. We need to do that more no matter the score. If we were up 40-16 at that point, we should have been doing the same thing. Because to me, guys, I'm the type of person, if it worked to give you that lead, then it should work to maintain that lead. Now, again, if you're up like 56-10 fourth quarter and you want to play prevent defense, I'm fine with that. But overall, I think it's a mentality thing that hasn't been instilled on the defensive side. And tonight, I think you saw it a little bit more. And I'm hoping it carries over into Texas Tech, the Big 12 championship game. And if God willing, we're good enough and the other teams fall in front of us, the college football playoff. So that was the good in the game. T'Vondre Sweat also dominated the game. Blocked extra point. That was returned for the 2-point conversion. I think he had a sack in this game. I know he was elite. I know he had a tip ball pass defend. He had one of those. And Byron Murphy, the last drive of the game, the guy that was talking all that smack in Hufford, I believe his last name is, whatever it is, the weirdo number 54 from Iowa State that said we need to check their egos, got used like a sled, a blocking sled by Byron Murphy. That was funny to watch. We dominated them when we just brought our front four and they decided, oh, we actually have to throw a pass that isn't a fucking slant, which was annoying as hell. That's all they were throwing. We dominated them up front. So I think they rushed for under 50 yards per usual, like every opponent we face for the most part. The only guy that's been successful on our defense has been Dylan Gabriel, which was very frustrating. But overall, another great game by the defense. T'Vondre Sweat, good play calling. Decent game by Quinn Ewers. C.J. Baxter filling in for Jonathan Brooks, over 100 yards. So really good game by him. We even saw Jaden Blue get a couple touches. He ended the game there. Again, my only issue with Cedric Baxter is he's definitely injury prone at this point, and that scares me going forward. But the guy can definitely play. He was the number 1 ranked running back in the country for a reason, and he's a very, very good player, and he was very good in this game. I'm hoping Xavier Worthy is just like a slight ankle sprain. If it is, you can honestly probably hold him out versus Texas Tech and we'd be fine. But we need him back for the Big 12 championship game, whoever we play. He's a very important player, and that's a very important game for this program, for this team, and for Steve Sarkisian. So I'm really hoping that Xavier Worthy can go in the Big 12 championship game. He was walking around on the sidelines. When they said he had his pads off, I was worried. But then when I saw him, he had a big puffy coat on, just walking on the sidelines. So he looks like he was nicked up, and they're just like, nah, we don't need him, which I guess we really didn't. But he had like 70 yards receiving in 2.5, 3 quarters. So he would have easily gone over 100. He's so underrated. If we could have had someone like Quinn his freshman year, and then also Quinn reached his potential, I think Quinn you're going to see, I think if he stays, which the reports are he is, and he just becomes decisive, you're going to see numbers next year by wide receivers that are insane because that's the last thing for him. It really is. It's when he sees it, he's got to be bang right there, and he's not there at this point on some of these things. It's weird because some throws he is, some throws he's not. He's inconsistent. So I guess I should say he needs to be more consistently decisive. That's the number one thing for Quinn. If he does that, he'll be fine. And it'll be interesting in the numbers those guys could put up or will put up if he does that. Tyree, I definitely don't want to play Kansas State again, playing like that in the first half. 100% don't want to play Kansas State again. Now, I will say Kansas State, their secondary is not as good as Iowa State's. Their front is probably worse, so it kind of evens out. It's interesting. And for whatever reason, styles make fights, and Kansas State's style does not mesh well with our style. So we usually do beat them, but I just don't want to play them again. They scare me. Don't want to play them. Would rather avoid them. Like I said, if you had to rank opponents, it's Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Kansas State in that order. If you wanted to throw Oklahoma in front of Oklahoma State for who Texas should want to face, I'd be fine with that too. But Kansas State is by far the last. I think if you ask like 100 Texas fans, that would be the answer for most of them. They would have Kansas State last. And by the way, to get 100 Texas fans, let's get them in here. And to do that, can you please hit that like button? Please subscribe down below. Go over to the Texas channel. Do the same thing if you're on the Big 12 channel. If you're on the Big 12 channel, go over to the Texas channel. Do the same thing. We're trying to grow the channel, guys. I want a lot of people in here. Please do that. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. So we'll get into the bad. Overall, I'm trying to think. Oh, let's go back to the good one for 1 second. Bert Auburn. Bert Auburn has been phenomenal. Phenomenal since he was bad earlier or missed a couple kicks earlier on in the season. I'm trying to think what the game was. I think it might have been Baylor. But he's been absolutely fantastic down the stretch. He's been Cameron Dicker good, if not better, honestly. So props to him. And by the way, only a sophomore, so he'll be back next year. He could really, really increase his NFL draft stock if he comes back and kicks the way he's been kicking the last couple games. He's been freaking phenomenal, guys. Really, really good. Really proud of that guy. It's really hard to get your confidence back as a kicker once you lost it. And I think it was pretty clear he lost his confidence, guys. So good on Bert Auburn for coming back and being very good down the stretch for this team. We've needed it. That kick to make it a 10-point game was huge because it puts Iowa State in a whole different mindset and made them throw the football. And this isn't a good team, guys, like at throwing the ball. They're not. Rocco Becht is a good quarterback, but they don't have weapons around him. I think if he had weapons around him, honestly, we're talking about like a Brock Purdy type guy. I think he can be that good because that one throw he threw to Eli Sanders for that touchdown where he snuck out of the backfield, that was a hell of a throw. Hell of a throw. So I really like Rocco Becht. I think if Iowa State can keep most of this team together in the new Big 12 next year, they could probably win 9 games. I do like some of their pieces. So overall, guys, I thought we did a pretty good job with that. Bert Auburn, thank you, buddy. You helped us win this game big time. Bad. Injuries. Xavier Worthy being injured, Jonathan Brooks being hurt last week. Devon Campbell came out in this game. Honestly, that is a semi-big injury when it comes to cohesiveness along the offensive line. But Cole Hudson is a very good player. I should take that back. He's a good player as a backup. He's a really good backup. He's a good player overall. There's not much of a drop off, if any, between the two at the guard position. But again, cohesiveness, playing that much together does help out. So it'll be interesting if he can go or not. I don't think that's that big of a deal. Xavier Worthy, if he's out for an extended period of time, is a gigantic deal. At that point, you would have lost your number one wide receiver, your number one running back. In my opinion, the two best offensive players on the team. So that would really, really hurt. That would allow for someone like A.D. Mitchell to step up, who he's been playing great, had a touchdown catch that was phenomenal in the back of the end zone that called back. But he's a really good player, guys. There's a reason he's mocked in the late first round, early second round. Same with Xavier Worthy. So I'm really hoping we get X back, guys. I'm really, really hoping X is fine. These injuries eventually they're going to catch up to us. And I'm hoping he can come back. I'm trying to think what else was bad. Honestly, other than the execution and injuries, there wasn't a lot bad. I thought the play calling again was good. I thought Quinn Ewers was pretty good. I thought the running backs were good. I thought the offensive line was good. The only reason they gave up 2 sacks is because Quinn Ewers held onto the ball and was too indecisive. That was the only reason they gave up 2 sacks. Defensive line was good. This is the last thing that's bad in my opinion. The 4th down play. They cannot run the ball at all. Iowa State cannot run the ball, and you sold out on the run. As I tweeted, Why sell out on something that hasn't worked all night? That makes no sense. None. Zero. Zilch. If they can't run the ball against your front 4 and 5, guess what? Use your front 4 and 5. Hell, on that play, if you want to bring 6 guys, do it. But do not have basically 10, I think they had 8 or 9 guys at the line of scrimmage, and all 9 of them or 8 of them came direct right downhill to the running back. The only guy that even paused was Jaron Thompson. He was like, "Oh, tight end, or go for the run." He went for the run. Tight end goes right by him, touchdown. That was the play. That was the play. If you have a guy on him, Rocco Becht either pump fakes that and is sacked, or throws it and it's either batted down, picked off, or pass interference. The worst thing that should have happened out of that should be a PI that which would have been a 15-yard penalty. That's the worst thing that could have possibly happened. Instead, we sell out for it and they score a touchdown and keep them in the game. Because if we stop at that point and we go in and score another field goal, that game or if we score a touchdown, it's a blowout. If we score a field goal, then you really put pressure on them because then they just have to throw the ball basically every down at that point, and that team is not designed to throw the ball at every down. Like I said, they're the 12th slowest offense pace-wise in the country. They want to run the ball. So why did you sell out there? That's the only thing bad on defense, honestly, I saw. Why? That's my only question. I'm hoping it's asked, but it probably won't be since we won the game. Penalties were bad. But overall, those aren't – I mean, what I'm talking about is what we can control. Some of those weren't controllable. Some of those were bullshit calls. The holding on Kelvin Banks was a bullshit call, in my opinion. I thought the Ryan Watts PI was a BS call. I thought the black in the back on the punt return where X took it was questionable. I don't think it was a bad call. I think it was 50-50, honestly. I think some officials call it, some officials don't. Keaton Crawford's got to be better than that. As someone who's an upperclassman and considered one of the best gunners in the country, just freaking run by him. I forget what team it is in the NFL, but there's literally a team, and we do it sometimes too, where as soon as that is caught, you see guys running like this, past guys, so you don't get the block in the back. So they're literally like this, and they just run next to them, and then there's no block in the back. Why aren't you doing that? You're an upperclassman. You're a very good special teams player. You're probably going to play in the NFL on the special teams unit. Just do that. That was really hard to see, but even Jeff Banks wasn't too hard on him because I think he realized it was like a ticky-tack call. But it could be called. It could be. But overall, I don't consider – I mean, we only had 6 or 7 penalties on the night. I can live with that. That's not an absurd number to me. Now, they were big penalties in when they came. They took A.D. Mitchell's touchdown away and Xavier Worthy's touchdown. So those are big because of when they happen. But overall, 7 penalties in a game is 100%. If I was a coach, I could live with that personally. But you can't live with them in the situation they came in, is what I'm trying to say. And they came in a bad situation. I think, again, questionable calls. But overall, we weathered the storm. And that's what I will say, too. Oklahoma fans complain about the Oklahoma State game and the non-penalties and they should have won, da-da-da-da-da. Texas has had bad calls consistently throughout the year, and we've overcome them. This team is far more resilient than any team in the past. They just are. And the next step is blowing teams out that you should blow out. I don't think Iowa State falls in that category, but Houston falls in that category. I'm trying to think what other game was close that shouldn't have been earlier this year. Wyoming, they're not a bad team, but we should have blown them out worse than we did. There's a couple games. There's about 3 games on the season that should have been worse than they were. And I think going forward in Steve Sarkisian's tenure, we need to see that. When we're playing the Vandy's of the SEC, when we're playing a Mississippi State of this year in the SEC, you need to beat that team by 3+ touchdowns. That's the last step, guys. It really is, because we're winning these close games now. That was not happening early on under Steve Sarkisian. It did not happen under Tom Herman. It did not happen under Charlie Strong. We're winning these games where adversity hits and we're able to battle through it. That did not happen under Tom Herman. That did not happen under Charlie Strong. So there's definitely progress being made. It's these little pieces to this puzzle. What it is, guys, is it's a 1,000-piece puzzle. We have about 985 of them in place. There's about 15 left, these small pieces that we're trying to find and put it and plug in. And once that's put together, this can be a championship team, a national championship team. Right now, guys, we're going to win, in my opinion, the 3rd best league in the country with our B- football through the whole year. There's a possibility of that. Like, if we beat Texas Tech, we win the Big 12 championship game. Unless we turn on and play an A-plus game the next 2 games, I think my grade for the year is probably going to be about a B-. And we're going to win a conference with a B- grade. That's pretty damn good, and that's pretty damn special. There's not many teams that could say that. There aren't. So I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of what we've done. I'm proud of what we have accomplished. Do we have more to do? Of course we do. But again, you got to celebrate these wins in building a program. I think Steve Sarkisian has done a hell of a job so far. I think there's a little bit more to do, but there's not much. This is the closest Texas has been to the Mac Brown era since the Mac Brown era. Tom Herman never got us this close. Charlie Strong definitely never got us this close. And it's a really good time to be a Longhorn. And since it's a really good time to be a Longhorn, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Go over to the Big 12 channel, do the same thing. Go over to the Texas channel, do the same thing. Thank you guys for being here. I'll keep it going. Texas beats Iowa State 26-16. And if you're going to go to a game, hopefully you get to that Big 12 championship game. We'll go over to ticketsmarter.com, purchase 2 tickets. I bet it's about $300. So guess what? You'll save $20 with code BIG20. And if you only buy one, maybe you can get a $100 ticket. Type in code BIG for $10 off a purchase of $100 or more. Thank you guys for that. And we will go right back up to this for anyone that didn't see it. 26-16, Texas beats Iowa State. This is another edition of the Bleeding Burnt Orange post-game show. New name, but the same show. Also, we have a preview show every Tuesday at or every Wednesday, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So join me for that. My Wi-Fi seems to be fixed. We're running at full 4 or 5 bars right now, so that's fantastic. So thank you guys for joining me. 26-16 versus Iowa State. Big win for Texas, big win for the program, and we're just going to keep chugging along, guys. I think that's going to do it for me tonight. My eye and my sty in my eye is killing me. I will be back again Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, guys. So be here to join me on the Big 12 channel and the Texas channel. Hook 'em, guys. 26-16. We play those Red Raiders next week in Austin at home.